Hey everyone, Karen Hurd here, and I wanted to talk today about how to create an authentic brand, especially in an age of TMI. What I do is I help people achieve their destiny with purpose, healthier, with more stamina and greater prosperity. And that's what I love to do. I love to help people like you do that. So let's talk today about how to create an authentic brand. This is some of the stuff I teach my team, and I wanted to share it with you. Look, today's social media world is noisy, and there's a lot of competition for the feed, as you know. If you're trying to build a business as a solopreneur, somebody who's maybe perhaps employed, but you're an independent contractor, or you're an independent contractor and you're responsible for generating your own business, having your own brand is key. It's actually more important to brand yourself than brand the company oftentimes. But unless you're a professional marketer, and most people aren't, you could really get into trouble in the reality TV mode that a lot of social media branding is done in. So let's talk about some tips to help your authentic brand be successful, create trust, build relationship, and stay out of TMI and the kinds of things that would make you go down the road. First thing, speak simply. Stay out of jargon. Now, if you are in a line of work or a business where there's certain trade words that are used and your audience knows those words and speaks in that language, absolutely, it's absolutely important to speak the language of your prospective client or your prospective business partner. However, what a lot of people get into is they try to sound maybe more educated or more credentialed or have more experience than they really do. And there's a bit of a disconnect that comes across in their body language or their eye movements, and that actually increases distrust. So it's more important to stay in your lane, speak deeply about that which you know, and stay out of complicated language. And you really see this, especially if you're discussing a topic that can get complex or has a lot of shades or nuances to it, and the tendency is to show how much you know. That actually doesn't build trust the way we think that it does. So speak simply and plainly. Share stories. Speak in the language of the person or the client base you're trying to attract. Another thing is, when is it personal and when is it too private? There's a lot of confusion out there, and we see what I call the hot mess brand. And you especially see that amongst women trying to show that they're real, they're not over polished. And what tends to happen with people, and I see this even with multi-million-dollar trainers, is they let their guard down too much. For example, I was listening to a trainer, and this trainer, I'm going to avoid pronouns because I really don't want to identify this individual. And this individual had experienced a great deal of severe child abuse. And when this individual was trying to show people what the individual overcame, this person ended up going into a lot of detail into the specifics of the type of abuse and how it was carried out. TMI, very difficult for other child abuse victims to listen to, like too close to home. For other people, unforgettable images that would actually not increase credibility, but increase notoriety or being famous for something they perhaps might not want to be famous for. It would have been better just to say, hey, I grew up in an abusive family. My parents were addicts and we were neglected, but I learned how to overcome that. Here's how I can help you overcome that. And that's being personal, but not being too private. All right. Another person who does this very, very well is actually Brendan Bouchard. You've heard of him from High Performance Habits or The Golden Ticket. He's got a really popular podcast and a bazillion views on YouTube. And he does a very good job of sharing personal details, but staying out of those private things is really best kept private. We live in a world with reality TV and letting it all hang out. or somebody's got a lot of followers because they show you the real intimate details of their lives. And I'm going to tell you, in business, that's going to backfire much more common, much more often than you think. All right. So you don't need to give lots of specifics that are better kept private in order to be authentic. Don't confuse the two. I see a lot of people confusing that all the time. It's really important to, when you're sharing your shortcomings, to also share what you did to overcome it. Your personal story can actually be very powerful, especially if it's connected to why and how you're doing business. But again, you don't need to get into a lot of tiny details or very personal, private specifics in order to communicate the idea that you know what you're talking about, you've got the experience, and you can help solve your prospective clients' problems. Okay? And in fact, who knows, there's going to be a backlash against all this in a couple of years, and I've got all those videos out there. So it's really best to, I know that we want to compete in the social media feeds, and there's a lot of pressure to be very revealing, and I really don't think that's important at all. I also want to speak for a minute about coarse language. It's really popular in some circles to drop all kinds of coarse words and sexual examples, and I don't think that's important. I really don't. You really don't know who your audience is in that sense. I don't think it increases authenticity. I think it actually puts off a lot more people than will admit they're just going to go away. You're just not going to have them reaching out to you. So coarse language, you really don't need it. The real strong sexual innuendos, you really don't need those either in order to build an authentic brand. Posture, you do want to exude confidence and competence, and you can do that even if you're sharing about a bad day. Like I said, Brendan Bouchard does a great job of sharing some personal aspects of his life, so you feel like you're getting to know him and that he's a real person without going into this area I call TMI. All right. So let's talk just real quickly about rants. This is another area where people want to be authentic, but these rants can backfire if they're not done well. So here's a good way to do a rant. I would, if you're going to do a rant that's really related to your business, do it in a way that most of your clients or your prospective clients would appreciate your voicing their issue. You're doing that rant on their behalf. You are giving a voice to them about their issue. That's extremely powerful. It's actually positive, and always include a solution. You can even use that rant as a call to action to reach out to you. Some things to avoid would be name calling, false accusations, and doing it in the heat of the moment. I can't tell you how many times I think politicians and other high-profile celebrities can get into trouble with this when they launch or they forget that their mic's on, and they have a hot mic moment where they let their guard down and they say something they really regret. We all have bad days. We all shoot off our mouths sometimes. But I would never do a rant, and nor would I advise you to do a rant in the heat of the moment. There's always going to be exceptions. Perhaps there's a great injustice that you're responding to, something like that. But keep it, it's not going to do badly to give yourself some pause. For most of what we're going to cover, you really want to be strategic when you're doing a rant, and don't rant just to complain. That does not make you look authentic. It makes you look like a whiner, and nobody wants to do business with the whiner. I don't care how many likes and thumbs up and all that jazz you got. It probably backfired in your bank account. All right. So don't do anything that's just complaining. That's actually not the kind of rant you want to do. So being authentic is really about sharing parts of your life without going into TMI. Keeping your language simple, speaking of that which you know, and there's other ways to expand into areas you don't know, like through doing interviews and other things to increase your level of expertise. But the other thing is to be honest. If you can do something, say you can do it. If you can't, Be honest. That's not where faking it till you make it comes out. And the other thing is to I said, be straightforward. Be straight with people. They really appreciate it. And believe it or not, they can tell when you are faking it. I hope that they gave you some value is how I advise my team and my clients. So if I can help you in any way, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can send me a message, leave a comment below, and I'll reach out to you. And I do have some information on one of the things I do, and the main way I work in helping people achieve their destiny abundantly through greater health, longevity, stamina, and prosperity is by teaching people how to have an online business like I do. And if that's something that you want to know more about, how you can use your smartphone to generate a career income while at the same time not only impacting your life, but making a strong, positive legacy impact on the lives of others, let me know. Let's chat, see whether or not it's a fit for you. All right. Good night, everybody. Have an awesome, awesome day. And God bless you in your business endeavors. Bye now.